All right, so get this. We're diving deep into leadership today,
Yeah.
but not your typical business guru stuff. No way. We're going full-on gangster, Peaky Blinders style.
Yeah, Tommy Shelby. The man himself, sharp suits, razor blades, and some pretty surprising leadership lessons if you look past all that.
See, at first I was like, Tommy Shelby. Really. The guy's a total badass, don't get me wrong, but a leadership model. But the thing is, the more I thought about it, the more I saw it. The guy's got something. He built an empire out of, well, not much. And in a world that's pretty brutal. Post-war Birmingham, not exactly a walk in the park.
Yeah, he's a fascinating case study, that's for sure. I mean, the guy operates in chaos, constant threat, and somehow he not only survives, but he thrives. So the big question is how?
Right.
How does he pull it off? What's the secret sauce? What's in Tommy Shelby's leadership toolkit?
Okay, so let's crack open that toolkit then. What are those key traits that let him not only survive, like you said, but come out on top in that cutthroat world?
Well, first off, you got to talk about his vision, right? Visionary leadership, that's Tommy. But it's not just about having a vision, it's the kind of vision he's got. I mean, most of these guys, the gangsters in his world, they're all about the quick win, turf wars, easy money. But Tommy, he's playing a different game entirely. He's got his eyes on the bigger picture, understands how power shifts, sees the potential in legitimate business. I mean, that guy even gets the allure of politics.
Yeah, it's like he's seeing the Matrix or something while everyone else is just, reacting to whatever's right in front of them. He's 5 steps ahead, playing chess while they're playing checkers.
Exactly. You hit it right on the head. Remember that scene where he's talking to Ada about going legit, building factories? He lays out this whole plan for creating jobs, making a positive impact on Birmingham. And you realize it's not just about, greed or lining his own pockets. It's about building something that lasts, a legacy, something that goes beyond the violence and chaos of the streets.
It's pretty amazing how he ties his ambition to something bigger, Okay, so we got visionary leadership. That's a big one. What else?
All right, so you can't talk Tommy Shelby without talking about emotional intelligence. The guy's a master at reading people.
Yeah.
He gets their motivations, their weaknesses, and he uses that not just to manipulate, although, yeah, he does that too, but to build loyalty, to get people to trust him, even make alliances you wouldn't expect.
That's key, right? It's not just being smart. It's about understanding people on a deeper level.
You got it. He knows when to show a little vulnerability, when to project strength, when to appeal to someone's ambition, or maybe play on their fears a little. Remember how he handles Abraham Gold? That guy was dangerous, a real wild card. But Tommy, he sees past that rough exterior. He appeals to Gold's sense of honor and bam, turns him into a powerful ally.
It's like you said before, he's playing chess while everyone else is stuck on checkers.
Right, and that strategic thinking, that's another one of his hallmarks. Tommy's always calculating, always thinking 3 steps ahead, weighing the risks, planning meticulously. Whether it's a business deal or facing off with a rival game, he's got that strategist's mind going.
But hold on, we see him making split-second decisions too, right? Like in really dangerous situations.
And that's where decisiveness comes in. He doesn't get bogged down in overthinking or second-guessing himself. When he has to act, he acts. And he does it fast, confidently. A lot of times that speed, that decisiveness, that's what gives him the edge.
So it's not just about the plan. It's about knowing when to trust your gut, when to make that bold move.
Yeah, you got to have both. Now, all these traits, they get amplified by this unwavering demand for loyalty and trust. His inner circle, Polly, Arthur, they're bound to him by this unshakable loyalty. And he demands it, sure, but he gives it back too. It creates this powerful bond, helps them weather any storm.
It's true. Think about those guys, Polly, Arthur, even Johnny Dogs. They'd walk through fire for Tommy. And you get the feeling he'd do the same for them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's not just blind faith. It's knowing you can count on the people around you. They got your back.
Okay, so we've got Tommy as this visionary leader. He's emotionally intelligent, decisive, thinks strategically, commands loyalty. But there's one more piece, right? He doesn't just sit back and strategize. He's a doer.
You got it. Tommy Shelby leads by example. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty, be on the front lines, face the same risks as his men. That earns him respect, breeds loyalty. It shows them they're all in this together.
He's not just calling the shots from some ivory tower. He's down there in the trenches with them, sharing the burdens of leadership.
Exactly. So there you have it. The core ingredients of Tommy Shelby's leadership toolkit. Visionary, emotionally intelligent, decisive, strategic thinker, master of loyalty, and a leader by example.
All right, so we've laid out Tommy's tools. The man's got a whole arsenal. But now let's see them in action, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does he actually lead in this pressure cooker of post-war Birmingham.
Yeah, well, one thing that really strikes me about Tommy's leadership is this ability he has to keep his eyes on the prize even when things are going completely haywire. I mean, he's got threats, betrayals, violence coming at him left and right, but that long-term vision never wavers.
Yeah, we see that especially when he's trying to make the family business, legit. He's dealing with rivals, playing the political game, even getting pushback from his own family.
Yeah.
But that goal, building a legitimate empire, it never leaves his sights.
Right, and that's a huge lesson for any leader, right? Obstacles are going to happen, it's a given.
To
But being able to stay focused in the middle of all that chaos, not letting setbacks completely derail you, well, that's what separates the winners from the, well.
So it's about having that unshakable commitment to the goal, even when the road gets bumpy.
Exactly. Now, another thing Tommy's a master at is relationships. He gets that power isn't just about, brute force. It's about strategically building connections. And he does it with this, incredible level of nuance. It's pretty remarkable.
It's like he's not just making friends, he's building a network. Each connection has a purpose, a role to play in his grand plan.
Right. Think about how he handles his family, for example. He relies on their loyalty, their trust, but he also knows each of their strengths, their weaknesses. Polly with her intuition, Arthur with Arthur's, let's say, enthusiasm. Ada, she's got those political connections. He uses them all in different ways, plays to their strengths.
And then there are all the relationships outside the family, right?
Yeah.
Each one carefully chosen, each one with a purpose in his big scheme of things.
Take Alfie Solomons, for instance. The Jewish gangster controls Camden Town. Now, their partnership, it's volatile, to say the least. A lot of mistrust, double-crossing, the whole 9 yards. But Tommy knows having Solomons on his side, even temporarily, it's strategically valuable.
It's a great example of how he's not afraid to work with people who are different from him, people he might not even like, as long as it serves his goals, the bigger picture.
Exactly. And this actually ties into another one of Tommy's strengths, adaptability. His leadership. It's not rigid, it's fluid. It changes as the world around him changes. Think about it. We see him go from, that hands-on street-level leader in the early days to more of a strategist, delegating more as his empire grows.
So he recognizes that different situations call for different approaches, different leadership styles.
Yeah.
He's not stuck in one way of doing things just because it worked before.
Yeah, he's constantly looking at the landscape, figuring out the threats, the opportunities, adjusting his style to fit, and that willingness to adapt, to change with the times, that's vital for any leader, especially in a world that's, constantly in flux.
Okay, so we've got vision, relationships, adaptability. But let's not forget Tommy operates in a world that's basically constant conflict. So how does he handle all that?
Tommy, he's a master of conflict management. He knows that conflict's going to happen. It's inevitable. But he also knows it doesn't have to be destructive. He uses it strategically. Sometimes he'll escalate. Sometimes he'll negotiate. Sometimes he even uses conflict to his advantage.
He's like that chess player again, always thinking a few moves ahead, figuring out how his opponents are going to react, using the conflict to set the board up the way he wants it.
Remember that scene where he goes head-to-head with the Shangretta family, those Italian mobsters who were a real threat to his whole operation? Now, he could have gone in guns blazing, all-out war, but instead he negotiates this tense truce, buys himself some time, and then uses their threat to actually strengthen his own position. It's pretty brilliant.
It's a perfect example of how he takes a situation that seems like a dead end and turns it into an opportunity. So he's not just reacting to conflict, he's shaping it, using it as a tool to get where he wants to go.
Exactly. And even in those moments, those high-pressure, high-stakes situations, he rarely loses his cool. He keeps this level of detachment. It's almost like he's watching the whole thing unfold from a distance. That lets him think clearly, make smart decisions, even when everyone else is losing their heads.
That emotional control, that ability to stay calm in the middle of a storm, that's got to be a real asset when you're in a leadership position. I mean, I know I'd be freaking out.
Absolutely. It lets him see things objectively, not make decisions based on fear or anger, those knee-jerk reactions that can really mess things up. Now, beyond just managing conflict, there's another thing that's really interesting about Tommy's leadership, and that's his constant drive to innovate. He's not content with the status quo. He's always looking for new angles, new ways to expand his empire, to stay ahead of the curve.
He's not just surviving, he's building.
Yeah.
He wants to create something that lasts, something that changes Birmingham itself. It's a pretty big vision.
And we see this in how he diversifies, right? moving from those illegal ventures, the betting, the racketeering, into legitimate businesses, factories, nightclubs. He even dabbles in politics. The guy's not afraid to take risks, to try new things, push the boundaries.
So it's not just about holding on to power. It's about growing, evolving, pushing himself and everyone around him to do more, be more.
You got it. And that relentless pursuit of progress, never getting complacent, that's another powerful lesson for anyone who wants to stay ahead of the game. Now, we've talked about a lot of Tommy's strengths, but let's be real. His leadership style, it's not all, sunshine and roses. There's a dark side, too.
Yeah, there definitely is. Tommy's journey, it's marked by sacrifice. His own and those around him. He carried a lot of weight. His family, their safety, their future. And that takes a toll. We see that. The PTSD, the insomnia, the constant fear of betrayal. It's heavy stuff.
And he makes some tough choices that cross lines, all to protect his family, to reach his goals.
Which kind of brings us back to that central question, right? How much are you willing to sacrifice? What are your lines in the sand? Where do you draw the line?
Tough questions. Those are the ones each listener's got to answer for themselves. There's no easy answer, no one-size-fits-all. But that's kind of the point, isn't it? Tommy Shelby, with all his complexities, all the contradictions, he makes us think about those things, define our own boundaries, decide what kind of leader we want to be.
He's like a mirror, reflecting back our own ambitions, our own values.
Yeah.
And in that reflection, maybe we learn as much about ourselves as we do about him.
Exactly. So as we head into the final part of this deep dive into Peaky Blinders, let's keep in mind Tommy Shelby's story. It's more than just a gangster flick. It's about ambition, power, what it means to be human, the whole messy thing.
So we've seen how Tommy leads, how he gets things done. But there's this tension, this thing that runs through everything he does.
Yeah, and it's what makes him so compelling to study, but also kind of hard to, actually follow in his footsteps. On the one hand, the guy's effective, no doubt about it. He achieves his goals, builds this empire, protects his family. But the way he goes about it, it's often morally questionable, sometimes even brutal.
He's always walking this line, right? Ambition on one side, ethics on the other.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, can you separate the two? Can you be a leader like Tommy, get things done without, compromising your values?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's something we all got to wrestle with as leaders in our own lives. Tommy's story, it forces us to look at those uncomfortable truths about leadership. The idea that sometimes, you got to make tough choices that might push you right up against your own moral boundaries.
He's not exactly a role model, not in the traditional sense, but he's a hell of a case study. He shows us that leadership, it's not just about charisma or being a strategic genius. It's about grit, resilience. It's about making those hard decisions, even when they come at a personal cost.
And we see that over and over again in the show. He sacrifices his own well-being, relationships, even his own peace of mind, all for his vision, for protecting the people he cares about.
Which brings us back to that question, right?
Yeah.
How much are you willing to sacrifice? What are your non-negotiables, the things you just won't compromise? Where's the line for you?
Those are questions everyone has to answer for themselves. No easy answers there. But I think that's the point. Tommy Shelby, with all his complexities, all the contradictions, he makes us think about these things. He makes us define our own boundaries, figure out what kind of leader we want to be.
It's like he's holding up a mirror, showing us our own ambitions, our own values. And in that, maybe we learn as much about ourselves as we do about him.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Peaky Blinders and the leadership lessons we can take from it, let's remember, it's more than just a gangster story. It's a story about ambition, about power, about what it means to be human, the good, the bad, the whole damn thing.
It reminds us that leadership, it's a journey, not a destination. It's about constantly learning, evolving, adapting to whatever challenges life throws your way.
And it's about finding that balance, defining your own boundaries, making choices that fit with your values, your vision for the future.
So what surprised you most about our look at Peaky Blinders? What stuck with you? What made you, maybe a little uncomfortable? Hit us up on social media. Let us know your thoughts. Use #DeepDivePeaky. Until next time, stay sharp and keep exploring those unexpected lessons, the ones that come from, even fictional gangsters. You never know where you'll find wisdom.